Katangaza Nankunda and her family are Ugandans living in the United Kingdom. In 2025, they planned to come home, and more so using the national airline, Uganda Airlines.
Our plan to come here meant we must go on Uganda Airlines because we're patriotic and we wanted to support. We booked our flights in June via a travel agent, and we were due to arrive here on the 19th. We left on the day before. We got a message from Uganda Airlines saying your flight will be a little bit delayed from 11:30 in the morning till 11:30 in the night. I thought, okay, that's fine. Maybe that's okay. So at least we were able to plan ahead and go to the airport later. When we arrived at the airport, we were then told the flight was further delayed and we would be informed when. In the end, we left at 2 a.m. So this was a flight that was meant to leave at 11 a.m. and now was leaving at 2 a.m. But we thought that's okay. We arrived fine, no problem. There was no apology. There was no explanation given. That's it.
Whereas these seemed like red flags, Nankunda and her family ignored them on the basis that it could be a one-time mishap. After spending their holiday, their return was due.
Our children left. Were due to leave on the 2nd of Jan. The morning of the 1st, we got a message saying the flight is delayed. It will go the following day at 11 a.m. So we had to book a room here for them to stay in the hotel in order to then, because there was nowhere to stay, basically they were meant to have flown. A number of the people staying in this hotel were on different flights over the course from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? And all of them were coming back here. All of their flights were cancelled or they were postponed or they were moved. And in the end, it's become clear that, and everybody who has finally gone has had their flights changed at least 3 times. Many cancelled, many didn't go, put on a new flight. There was a couple here who were from the UK. They left. It was the first time they've been to Uganda. And they've been sitting there by this pool for 24 hours waiting. In the end, they went to the airport last night at 8 p.m. for a flight at 11. They left this morning at 5 a.m. Their flight left at 5 a.m. And they were sitting in the Entebbe airport. So everyone you meet who's coming from that side will tell you the same story. I just met a man who was due to be here on Thursday last week. He arrived on Monday. The Uganda Airlines ended up putting him up in a hotel for 3 nights.
Following this back and forth, Nankunda says their flight agent pushed Uganda Airlines to have them use an alternative airline.
And our travel agent luckily managed to persuade Uganda Airlines to put us on Kenya Airways. And they just got us a seat, so we're going to fly on Kenya Airways tonight.
What bothered them the most was a non-responsive stance from the airline on top of added expenditures.
We've had to pay for two extra nights in this hotel. In fact, 3, because 1 night included our children who are adults, so they had their own room. So 3 nights in a hotel, obviously food and everything else. And also, that's the main financial implication, but also knowing that you're probably not going to get compensated for cancelled flights or delayed flights because there is nobody to speak to at Uganda Airlines. They don't answer their phone at all. They say nothing. They send you an email and they say your flight has been delayed, even if it's 1 day, 2 days, and this is the new time, and they ask you to accept the change on the email. So presumably that means if you accept, you're now willing to go with them until they finally find you a space. But no other communication whatsoever. There's a phone number that you can ring. When you ring the number, there's no answer. In fact, it doesn't even go through.
This is not an isolated incident. The airline's blues started around mid-2025. By end of the year, some scenes were nasty with agitated travelers. What could explain this problem? Flight Captain Francis Babu, an aviator with decades of experience, And one of the people who were consulted before reviving the airline says it's a management issue first.
Our management is not well trained to run an airline. They are going for people they know. You don't bring a public relations officer to run an airline. Or you don't bring a HR to run an airline. It's a human resource. You need somebody who has been trained by other chief executive officer and brought to speed to do the same job.
It does not matter whether I went to the moon or whether I did MDD. What matters is, do I have the skill? And I do. I can't blame myself for being appointed. That is something that will have to be requested from the board and whoever they were following.
Babu further points to heavy expenditure on a startup project in a changed aviation sector.
Get about those people I talked about, chief executive officer, marketing, finance, and the operation people, and get them only those. No board. We don't want a board. To call it a task force. Have a good startup. Once the airline is moving and you feel you want some more stuff, you can then employ slowly those who are vital to the running of an airline. Because airline business is a cutthroat. It's one of the most difficult businesses in the world. The capital outlay is very big. The profits are very small. The break-even point is very far. Most companies break even in 5 years. With an airline, you can go between 7 and 10 years.
Meanwhile, communication from the airline about its challenges remains scanty. On 15th December 2025, the airline, through its ex-social media handle, regretted the inconvenience. However, beyond this post lies a pile of unresolved issues, some of which were established during an August 2025 meeting between the Uganda Airlines management team and Parliament.
You will realize that the fleet we have, the 4 CRJs and the 2 Airbus, have a discordance in terms of capacity. So the CRJs are unable to operate the routes that are beyond a certain hour. So that means that on some of these operations, we limit the number of passengers, so we don't operate optimally.
But then the CEO, 80 million. I would like to know her qualification that earns her that 80 million per month in the company that has financial issues like the Uganda Airlines.
So they asked us to propose a salary structure based on the industry, and we were supposed to benchmark the airlines in the region and also airlines that are flying the type of aircraft we have. And that we did and presented to the board.
That's where the management comes in. Why did they give them big salaries right from the beginning? Number one. Why did they give her the management? Number two. Why is she talking about routes? Routes is a marketing product. You must market that route before you start going on it. You don't just start and say, I think our aeroplane should go to, we should go to Hawaii.
In 2022, a number of the airline's officials were interdicted for their involvement in various scandals.
The airline was infiltrated immediately by some corrupt elements, employing their relatives, over budgeting, over inflating the procurement costs. Terrible, terrible things.
When we contacted the Chief Executive Officer, Jennifer Bamuturachi, her response via WhatsApp was that they had no passengers to London this week. And I quote, "Until yesterday? No. Unless there were layovers from other destinations with connections to London and other routes." End of quote. She adds that, open quote, "We still have 1 Airbus in operation, and that's affecting our schedules with extended departure times. We will normalize in the coming week as soon as the 2nd Airbus is back in the air." End of quote. In December 2025, Bamuturachi said 2 of the 7 aircrafts were grounded, with 1 stuck in Lagos awaiting a key spare part.
Because we cannot find the spare part, and that's being sourced, not because we don't have it in the stores, but because it's a part that is not ordinarily stocked. Remember, we have 7 aircraft, including a leased one. So when you have 2 out, that already causes a knock-on effect with flights delayed, flights cancelled. Really, that's what is causing all this. And the fact that people are upset means they have a passion for Uganda Airlines. So how we communicate and how we pass information is very important to manage their expectations.
In the 2023-24 financial year, the airline declared a loss of 237 billion shillings, although management stated that it was an improvement from the previous years. They attribute the loss partly to the high cost of spare parts for the 2 Bombardier jets, as the manufacturer, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, no longer produces the CRJ 900 series.
Don't buy aeroplanes, lease aeroplanes. Africans must understand that lease is important, especially for equipments that get out of date within time. Ethiopian Airlines runs 787, a Dreamliner. That's a long-range airplane. Kenya Airways has the same. They used to have 777, they have replaced them. Tanzania, 787. So this region is Boeing. For Uganda Airlines, that would have been a very nice cue, that you have an airplane which others have. If you have any problem, they can help you.
I have what it takes to run this airline, and nobody can take that away from me. It is my gift. I can do it, and I'll do it. Not alone, by the way, because I work with a team. And that team in there, combined, we have close to 100 years of experience together. And all of us together have what it takes to run this airline. That's why it hasn't dropped out of the sky.
Walter Mwesije, NTV.